Sasabek, we are almost at the docks for the lab. We can finally get this corpse away from our noses for the time being, and relax until Dr. Sulnoki calls us in for the necro ritual. It is a weird thing leaving Salem and the other people that were there with him in England, but I would have to say that. Did we pick the right jobs? Even if we did not have anywhere else to go?
We always did have a choice. I guess one way or another, but we both wanted to work in a place where we could cut open bodies for experiments, leave chaos and ruin in our path if we chose to, or sneak away like mouses and no one being the wiser. Remember what Dr. Sulnoki said on the first few days that we got there? The pig will die regardless, and you will eat it. But you can either rip it apart and eat it, and feel sorry that you killed an innocent animal, or you can wait for it to die and then eat it. Either way it will die and you will eat it.
He said that about good and bad, and all the other things that can be changed and helped if we as people stopped hating people because of someone of power says. It is a dark, cold world we put ourselves in, but I am glad that I can at least talk to someone normal. Enough, and that is also working, and will not spin it into some type of morbid lesson, and just be educational.
Yeah, but I guess you never really know why someone is there at such a place, until you see them working firsthand, pouring their heart out for the craft. I wonder what Baiba and Kaluk are doing right now. I bet that they had a less gruesome time getting their corpse than we did. But either way we came back first, and that is what matters the most. I know Dr. Sulnoki told us not to make it a challenge, but it is just a weird feeling in my body that has joy that we came home and will be able to relax until he calls us in again.
Look, I can see the lab from this window. We are very close now, and I wonder if they still have those Pringles that I like in the vending machine in the cafeteria. But I am now dreading the fact that we have to finish the task of lugging this heavy corpse into a holding room and then prepare it. I knew we should have found another way rather than going to Tilbury and wading through those waters for hours. I know we were running from the police, but still, I can deal with the fact that carrying it through our journey was going to be hard. I can come to peace with the maggots still wriggling through my clothes. I can find hope that if we ever find water and a body, we go the other way. No buts, no hesitations, no whining. I can even get past the stench of the dead body because we have seen them turn to acid and or dirt right in front of our eyes. But this kind of smell is just fucked.
They said to dock at Harbor B, right? Go outside and turn the boat a little bit more so we can angle into the spot and get off.
All right. They did have the Pringles that I wanted, and they had even more for. Oh. Here are yours. I knew when we got back you said you wanted some hot Cheetos, and I think you got the last few bags until they bring the trucks, and haul in more food supplies for next week.
Thank you for these. But since we made it, our blood callers have been signaling Dr. Sulnoki to our whereabouts, and he will come here soon to see and dissect the body, and other preparations. But for the time being, let us enjoy our snacks. And we can go to the room where they have entertainment and other things. Cough cough, they make these chips way too hot for no reason. I know they have jalapenos and hot spice in there, but... Or I can just stop eating these and get another bag of something else. Also, I only need about 2 bags. The rest of them you can give to the other people that are coming to the cafeteria.
Do you not get a weird, eerie feeling when we come back to the lab? Every time it seems like they are on sleep mode, or scuttling around like beetles, who cannot say a simple hi. Oh, hold on, let me get one more case of these chips and then we can go to the Twisted Numb room and just relax. I guess we can relax in here for a little while, or until we get called. But other than the things we have done, what do you want to do in the future?
I would love to create a living creature out of synthetic or an organic pet to have around the house. I know it sounds morbid, but that is the fun in it. Making and breaking mind and soul, breathing in new words through their shattered mouths. Even if I choose to give them other working parts like speech, hand, eye coordination, leg movements, and or something else. I have most of the parts at my house, but I just need to bring the formaldehyde cases here to study them for a little bit on a smaller scale, and then work up from there.
I always wanted to know how I could find certain rare minerals and see how I can make them stable and unstable, kind of like mixing and bending atoms. I have always wondered what I could do with dysprosium and other minerals from the lanthanide series, such as cerium, gadolinium, and other minerals and things of that bracket. I could deal with oxygen or gallium or cobalt, but those are the regular things you see in stores, cars, and other things around the world, and it would never be fun to play around with such mundane elements, rather than these.
Yeah, plus we have already worked with most of the non-lethal minerals already anyway, but I would like to work with the other half of the periodic table, the ones that mold your skin and blacken your vital organs, rather than just touch and tasting dead bodies, and then throw them away. When we get finished with this, I want to work on my own science projects to the fullest of my knowledge. Without the lab's help, of course. I have since realized that some of the doctors here on this side of the lab are kind of narcissistic and will try to ruin or destroy the rooms that you have created because they might have seen something that you were doing as worthy, accomplishing more than them. They see it as they are smarter than me, so I have to corrupt this room no matter what and leave them in my dust. Then we get into poison fights. Then we have to evacuate the lab for a few days. Because someone got hurt and threw, let's say, anthrax or poison ivy mixed with nightshade, and sent the room into an uproar. But other than that, you can work alone most of the time. If you know what you are working with and can seal off your other doors so they cannot mess up your work.
Or you have secret books filled with your own blood, sweat and tears, and always keep it on your person no matter what. I can only tell you a little bit of what I am working on. Regardless of if we are friends or not, I do not want these vials and or glass-filled items to be shattered. But I have been working on the human eye, how it is connected to the brain, and how fast we can pick up information from them, how we evolutionize our own iris, I realized that many animals have the ability to see in pitch-black darkness, and they can move and groove whether they are getting hunted or they are the hunter themselves. But I see the amounts of light that each human sees is 6 photons of light, and I am assuming the same amount until it is dark, but I believe that if I lessen those photons and/or increase them, we can have the organic technology to see with no problems, and transform the eye into something greater than it already was, plus.
Now that the bell has rung, all doctors, surgeons, nurses, and all other working bodies of Dr. Sulnoki, please come down to lab at your most reasonable time. Also, we are having a delivery of hydrogen, helium, lead, and xenon shipped to the lab next month. So if you feel like you want to try your hands at a simple science problem lesson, or even just stay in the back and watch, then you are one step closer to being a normal person here at Nookville Labs. Also, there is a weird rumbling going through here, kind of like a brain splitter of sorts. But if you're feeling more than the regular headaches, seizures, or minor heart attacks, please go to Mr. Wagaloo and find your cure in the dream world. And as always, please move quickly and quietly to not disturb any experiments going on today and/or our lived-in test subjects.
Well, I guess it is finally time to get the body cut open and tested, or resurrected and perform the ritual. Paulza, let us go. It is not that he will get mad at us, but he will start the ritual without us, and we need to see at least some of it to understand how to do it ourselves, and or at the very least the educational value of seeing it in action.
Alright, let me put these vials and other things back in the book and we can go.
Time and time again, people do not clean up their horrendous messes when leaving the lab, or just period. I have a weeping feeling every time I see a broken glass bottle, severed heads and other body parts gone to waste, unused test subjects with no dysfunction to them. But either way, no one can use it. And while we have horrible smells to pleasant aromas here, I would still like for them to clean up as much as possible. Not the bugs that get them, but people here in this wing of the lab are more prone to eat anything that is in their reach. Cough, cough. The more and more they bring dead bodies to my lab without the proper caring and the guide I gave them, they could have the body look like a prince, besides the fact that it has mold, maggots, and other things on and or around it. But other than that, I see that Paulzu and Sasabek have returned to the lab a few days ago, smelling like shit and moose corpses,
Dr. Sulnoki, we are back with Alan Turing. It was a hellacious journey after we waded through those waters. which I said for us not to do, and we could have gone another way even though we did not have the time to think. But the body is in the ritual room, so we can start as soon as everyone is ready.
Paulzu, I just saw Jikajin a few minutes ago when we were walking here. I understood that he worked here, but I did not know that he worked at this wing. We realized that he was with other people at the time when we were escaping England, but how did he make it back?
He made it back on the first boat we came on when we first went to England, and I think he must have gotten here a little bit sooner than we have. Dr. Sulnoki, how long has he been here?
I am very surprised that you even found him walking around in England, but yes, he said that you two blew up a building, and then fled on foot for a couple of weeks. He also said that you met up with Salum, and he has helped with recon and killing off any loose ends that you might have noticed but could do nothing more about. And while he does not work on necromancy like we do, he is still hailed as a grand scientist here. Maybe not more than other people regardless at the lab, but I digress.
He is more of an outside scientist who likes to test the weather and other things of that field, but never mind. It would be too weird to ask him about ripped flesh and gutted visions of what he has done in the past. But see, Paulzu, I told you that every body's story is different of how they ended up here.
Yeah, but everyone also has to do something inhumane, tearing away at your own psyche, lashing everything away for science, or you could be a person that wanders and looks deep into the stars and...
Paulzu, are you mumbling about the abyss again? The abyss is a great place to be when silence is the only option, but if you stay in there for too long, will you start to go through changes? Your body will begin to shiver with questions you never wanted the answer to. But when are we going to perform the ritual? I am assuming that it is going to be another day or so to get everything ready, and to have the body moved and prepared.
It will be in another day. It would have been today if the water was not a grueling problem. Getting the body out of the bag will be a struggle, but other than that I can say that we will be ready to bring Mr. Allen touring back to life tomorrow. Plus, besides that, you have both completed your task greatly, but I would say either remain in the lab and start to do home experiments and what have you, or find something else other than necromancy. I have my fair share and love of messing around with the unknown and such. But even I too get nauseated from the smell of death. And the usual nerve-cutting work that we do here regardless. But I would still love it even if my nose was numb and bleeding from side effects, and or if massive amounts of bile got into my system. But as they say in some parts of the world, they say that getting a little sick every day keeps up the immune system and other body parts that can even heal given the right dose.
Alright, well, I am going into chamber 399. If the body is ready by tomorrow and I finish up my studies before then, everything will fall into place enough that I can be satisfied. Sasabek, are you going into one of those rooms or no? They do have live experiments that we can personally work on if they have more. I love working with dead bodies, but they do not bleed the same results as living ones.
I will be going around the Zulga forest for a little bit, but not for long. I remember the last time that I did, they had to drag me out of there, pissing and screaming for the voices to stop, mumbling on and on for Jukul to teach me more about life before my mind completely splits open, chasing other people in there like deformed rabbits. So if you need me, I will be somewhere in that area.
Make sure that you have clean clothes on. The body will likely burst and his juices will go everywhere before he reforms into a human again. But other than that, I say have fun. Ah, the old lab. I remember it like it was yesterday. Blood-curdling screams, the moans and groans of, "Please let me go." You have the wrong person. I have a family. All of those things did not matter then and still don't, but only now they are willing to come here so I do not have to hear their pitiful calls to gods and goddesses that could give a rat's ass about them. I never understood when something bad in your life was getting worse. Those people like to run to their make-believe books and chant out their loyalty rather than pure fear of being removed from life. Not that it shows weakness, but it shows that when certain things get out of hand, them of all people cannot at least try to fix the problem and cling for a higher power to take the weights off of you. Shit seekers are what they truly are, slim-minded and ready to die for a cause you were not even born into. But I am not here to break your fantasy of those things, but now that I am here, I can finally start cutting the body out of the bag like how we used to do it, before we did dead guttings. The draw of the blades was wonderful. The skills that people had back in those days, when Mr. Wagaloo was not in that straight jacket for his own safety, when Jukul was only a beast of the woods running after Jaiga and Shadowblade, back when I was more lustful of the torture. I should not say this, but I wish they would have brung it with no water. Every time I ask them to do something without water, they seem to find a way to dump a whole ocean on top of any project they're doing. But me liking it or disliking it is not going to make it less wetter. But either or, they have brung me another one for. Well, I cannot cut into this one for now, but I am sure that I can bring in some more live subjects to play with. Now where are my scissors? Ah, here we go. I shall cut the ropes off of the bag first and work my way around the body as best as I can. Now that the ropes are cut off, I can finally cut the bag wide open and smell death and wonder, or maggots, whichever one is fine. Enough. Or every fucking time. The water is spilling out and I have no way to catch it, and it might damage the body to a point where I cannot do the ritual until the body is fully dry. If they would just listen to this one rule, everything would be fine. Good. I cut off most of the bag and removed the rest with burning solutions to keep the body fresh until I will have to wheel it out of here and upstairs for the ritual, but I need to have better people get my equipment from now on. Sasabek and Palzu are good at cutting, experimentations, and observation, while Baiba and Kaluk are good at retrieval, in-depth missions that require hand-eye coordination, and many other things that experienced scientists at this lab can do. But we all start off somewhere and end off more willing to gouge out meaning and reason and let your hands pick the next project.